What does that mean, really, to be a first customer? Well, for me, a great deal of responsibility, because it's not just about helping myself, though it could be just conveniently, quietly do that and not to rock the boat, especially in the anyhow, I rather not go there about politics and what I know about people do to eliminate competition and to keep the market the way it is, keep the status quo, because it's such a huge money maker. So instead of going down that path, well, first of all, I'm going to show you to substantiate everything I say it is the way it is. I was the first backer in Indiegogo. I was lucky, I am lucky to know the person who brought the AMU to the Western market. And it is so new that at the time of the recording, this is my third week testing the AMU and how I can make use of it to create a new approach for managing. In my case, my journey is to reverse the diabetes, type 2 diabetes that I have. Well, while this information of reversing type 2 diabetes is not new, and a plethora of information out there, what is a game changer, however, is getting the data readily available on such way that hasn't been available for many of us for a long time. So being the first customer means to me this kind of responsibility that I'm aware of, and I'm happy to respond because I am an early adapter of the technology, well, of every technology, and being part of the Quantify Self movements, and with special interest in medical devices that I very happily attended to at Harvard's Innovative Lab 10 years ago and developed an app on this field, though I failed to bring it to the market successfully. This interest of mine has been a long-standing one. So, yeah, I have both a history and a great deal of interest to help others with new technologies that make sense and truly helping ones to achieve a greater degree of health. So now I'm gonna be passing some people here that would not know what I'm doing with a stick and a phone on it. So we continue later. Well, as you can see, the Indiegogo notes and the official email I got. But going back to the thoughts share on this topic, the third week and the consequent weeks, I'm specializing on the adaptation of AMU and the new approach that I already see in my head evolving. So I'm going to share these thoughts if you are interested. The new approach I see on based on the fact that we can gather the blood sugar information readily and adjusting our plan to deal with, manage it, and some of us who wants to reverse the type 2 diabetes. Of course, there are gadgets out there, a few of them, that gives this information readily available, but those people tend to be the type 1 diabetes customers, and for them it is quintessential to have that data because they daily insulin or weekly, I don't know how they tune it in, but once it's tuned in, I guess remains for a while the amount what they have to give for themselves. But that's not what I speak for. However, we can learn from that, and it's not difficult to see that readily available data has tremendous value in our journey to achieve whatever personal goal we have. I speak for myself. I've been diagnosed 3.5 years ago with diabetes. That was a absolute, I wouldn't say devastating, but I don't know what other words I could use at the moment. I was really floored by the news because all my life I've been very active, very health conscious, though being an IT guy, the job brought a lot of indoor and sedentary lifestyle that was difficult over the years, increasingly more difficult to manage. But nonetheless, I really paid attention to my health and in many different ways. So this news about diabetes was a complete surprise to me. Now what I know, there are possibilities out of my control because simply I did not know. Now I can control the source, potential sources that cause diabetes. But again, I do not go down that path. If you watch this video, the chances are you are diagnosed with diabetes and seeking a solution. So let's just focus on that. 3.5 years ago, and I got the news, I did my research and I reversed it. So I thought I reversed it because 6 months later my HbA1c test came back nearly normal. So I thought I'm good. Forward 3 years, I find myself in a hospital. First, doctors thought I have heart attack, but turned out it wasn't a heart attack. I just had a very high 19.2 sugar, and that was a wake-up call because earlier this summer I was told that I have a big problem because I did a control test. Actually, I did a couple of them, so I knew that, well, me reversing diabetes may not be the case. This summer my test came back with 12. The 3 months average was 12, and my doctor said, hey, you are going to, sorry, my dog is wrapping me up with the leash here. Yeah. If you want to see one of the most rare dog in the world, awesome story behind that one. Try to guess. Anyhow, not to digress. The doctor said you're going to have a big trouble if you don't take care of this. So he wrote me a referral to the specialist. Unfortunately, they didn't do urgent appointments. They said go to the hospital if you have urgency. Well, 1 week before or 10 days before my appointment, which was out there like 3 months, I went there early summer, and now my appointment was September 14th. September 6th, I ended up in the hospital actually a couple of times, and then visiting 2 private clinics. Long story short, I got my wake-up call. And ever since, well, I knew back in the summer that how important it is to measure my blood, but poking my finger, it was just, I work on the keyboard all the time. It's not something I want to do. It's very uncomfortable. My fingers become sore. I ran out of my strips that I had from America. I bought the local ones, but the local ones are, I don't like it. I'm in Europe right now. Until I bought a high-end one from England. Now, that's good. That is a good one. But wicked expensive. So, anyhow, I knew it when the news about AMU came, which was total coincidental. My friend did not know about my condition, and he didn't even mention to me. He was speaking to my wife, who is from Taiwan, and they were speaking Chinese, and he mentioned it to him, and to my wife, to her, and she said, "Oh, wait a second, that would be very interesting for my husband." So it was a pure coincidental that I got the news from the person who brought AMU to the Western market. Now, and that's how I became a first person to back the project, and possibly the first person getting it too, because I was the first I shipped it to. So that means for the last 2 weeks, people are beginning to get the AMU, and they're gonna start learning. What I hope to make out of this journey and the share of the results is to spread the word as far, as deep, as wide as we can, so AMU will stay. Now, I'm doing the test on AMU, and I'm sharing the details of that, because the stigma, and it's not accidental that Chinese products don't happen to be the quality ones. Of course, because that's what we expected, and that's what we asked for the Chinese, to make things cheap. So that's what they responded to. However, they grew up and they have the tech to create high quality products. Now, where AMU measures up on this scale of quality, time will tell. I'm doing a large number of testing, and I'm comparing as much as I can with as many blood test control. And my initial observation, that may or may not be true, maybe I'm making some mistakes, and yesterday I did find a variable that was totally new for me about taking a blood, but the industry standards talks about 15% variation on blood test results from device to device is what's acceptable, up to 15%. And my comparative data analysis so far shows 1/3 of the time AMU is right on the spot, 1/3 of the time it's okay, just a little bit outside of that 15% range, and there's 1/3 of the time when it's beyond that. Not huge, but a couple of points. Well, it does make a difference in my game plan anyway, to eat or not to eat. So where the final thoughts, conclusions will end up about AMU, well, it would be very helpful to collaborate with others who have AMU and they do similar work. Right now, I don't know anybody, but time will tell. And even if, let's say, the conclusion that AMU is 20% accurate, okay, that's fine, we can adjust to that. The point is in the frequency of data that we can gather, because the more frequent the data that is coming in, it gives the better picture and the needed details to make, uphold, change, tweak, whatever we need to do in our game plan to manage, or as I said in my case, my goal of accomplishment is to reverse type 2 diabetes. So if that makes sense to you, follow my work, contribute to my work. I know people around me interested, though I live in a very backward country where people, for instance, me walking with a stick that have my phone on it, would have no idea, and they expressed, they come and they commented, "What are you doing? What is that?" And so I'm presently not in the United States, and collaboration may not be as easily available as I used to have the access to leading thinkers in Boston. As I mentioned, the Harvard Innovation Lab is a very good place to go. Anybody can go. That's why I was there. And meet the best minds out there, people who are focused and actively working on new tech. So, but this is beyond that. AMU already has been developed. Now they're gonna be continuously developing it. I already raised one concern and I got an answer for it from the owner himself, though not directly, but through my friend. I hope I can contribute to their work and help them, because AMU has huge potentials. But at the same time, it may not be long-lived, because, as I said, this market is very highly protected in the country I am in right now, and rather not mentioned because I love my country. But over here, politicians were bought or misdirected. They thought maybe the politicians were thinking that they're doing good things, but actually they did the harmful things when they passed a law that no competing device can be advertised or even pointed to. So that's why this blog is American, and I don't dare to do it here in my country, or maybe that same things hold true in Europe, throughout the Union, because they're using the government money to subsidize the overpriced, outdated technology, taking full advantage of the people who are sick and they cannot be without it. And they're protecting the market. So how AMU can succeed in these conditions, I don't know. The chances are it will fail. I mean, let's face it. As soon as there's a couple of things going against AMU. One is, one batch has been produced, but now they're having a problem producing the second batch. And granted, these batches are small because they're looking for distributing channels. They're not looking for retailing it. Okay, on Indiegogo they're doing test market, but come on. Anybody, it doesn't take a scientist, anybody can figure it out. With millions of people needing to test their blood sugar, come on, a non-invasive solution will beat anything out there. So they're having a problem because of chip shortages. What is this chip shortages? Why even Mercedes has to stop production because they can't put out a car because of a missing chip? Well, the preparation for this war that is going on has probably siphoned up all the chips as countries, military purchasers went and bought up every chips so they can make their stupid drones and making wars with. That's my thoughts, but whatever the case is, doesn't matter. The point is they don't have enough chips. So the Chinese having a problem getting enough chips, and this business is not exception. So AMU mass production may need to be may need to wait and see what happens. Sooner or later it's going to be solved, but the key word is soon or later. So if you are lucky you want to have an AMU, that's great. The chances are you don't. And if you don't, what can we do about it? I'm already thinking and trying to explore ways to collect orders, and then the next batch when it's produced, because of my friend who is handling the distribution in the Western Hemisphere. I hope to get my order in as number one. So if you get it through me, maybe you have a better chance getting it versus trying to find it on your own. But whatever the case is, if you can find it, great. If you can't, I'm more than happy to help. Though I don't have established business to make this work, so I don't know how much time and effort it's gonna take, but at least I'm thinking about it and do whatever I can to help that way as well. So, well, this blog started out to substantiate I was the first customer before somebody or people start questioning that I'm making claims, and this being the least important, being first, so what, but having access to the person who brought AMU to the market and facing the reality. The AMU may or may not be here to stay, at least not on the Western market. Well, try to get it while you can. And no guarantees that AMU will be readily available, though it should be, and I do my part to have this process. So that's it for this vlog. What do you say, Mushu? Okay, if you haven't figured out what kind of a dog is this, it's a dog that not just only holding the title of the most rare dog in the world, but it's a very, very special breed, an ancient Hungarian breed called the Commodore. If you are interested about Commodores, just look me up.